she gets elected to the school board, as we're all here to help her do. We're at the Columbia Restaurant, and I'd like to especially thank Richard Gonsmar for hosting this night. All of the our food is provided courtesy of Richard, who could not be here at the moment. My husband Bill Dalton and I are co-hosts with Richard Gonsmar, as well as Carolyn Brickelmeyer, Don and Babs Evans. Don and Babs, where are you? There they are. Thank you. And Terrell, many of you know who Terrell Sessoms is, and we're just all here to honor Lynn and hear what she has to say. Before I let Lynn come up here, though, I do want to mention that we have a silent auction going on the table with the flowers. There's 3 baskets there. There's a coloring book basket for children, a coloring book basket for adults, and then a very adult basket with wine and chocolate, etc., for other adults. So please do bid and bid up. And it all goes for the campaign. I met Lynn about 10 years ago at the Second Miles for Moffett, and we had about 3,000 people and not enough porta potties for them, and I heard about it. And during the race, Lynn came up to me and said, "I think I can help you." And we met, and I immediately asked her to be on my board, and she served on the board for the rest of the time that I was in charge for Miles for Moffett, and thank goodness she joined us. It was just wonderful. But more than that, Lynn is, she's a seasoned teacher and administrator and has served here in Hillsborough County for over 26 years. And her administrative highlights include Teacher of the Year twice. She was a finalist once and a peer counselor of the year. She spent 16 years as an instructor and department head in the Hillsborough County Public Schools, 9 years as an instructor and department head at Jesuit High School, and 3 years as a part-time adjunct instructor for JMJ of Tampa Bay Homeschooling. She's a fabulous person. She's got great ideas. She's a competitor. She has her own business, and I'd like for you all to meet Lynn Gray.
Each and every one of you for spending your evening with me and with my wonderful co-hosts, which also include, as you know, Carol Brickelmeyer, Don and Babs Evans, if you'll raise your hand, Terrell Sessoms, who was Citizen of the Year, he has not been feeling well, and Karen and Bill Dalton, who have been with me every step of the way. Richard Gonsmar and I are very good friends, we're runners, and we are also educators. And this is what I'm going to be speaking about. Girls, can we shut the door? Okay. This is the teacher in me. Getting noise. I almost
Yeah.
I have a background that is seemingly becoming more important as I am reading about various candidates, and I'm a little bit concerned. I think that serving as a school board, this is a board director in charge of policies, I think a person needs to be educated in education. I've been an educator all my life. I have been a student advocate of MAD, SAD, Garden Al Litem, Bay Area Legal Services, Miles for Moffett, Shriners Hospitals for Children. I've given my life so kids can learn to become the best that they can be, no matter what circumstances. I'm not sure I was born that way. It just seems like the most rewarding part of my life is when I can give to the youth. And so, accordingly, I have spent most of my working years and my business, even though I have a business of 18 plus years, take the first step. I actually developed a curriculum for kids, for our youth, that is put into the Hillsborough County Public Schools called the Running Clubs. And this is important for you all to know because I do walk the walk, I don't just talk the talk, and I am fundamentally invested mentally and physically in this position that I hope to get. So I have had Teacher of the Year, all the accolades, and I never say anything to anyone other than it's because of the kids that I have affected. I'm extremely proud of the fact that I also have a board of directors for my own club, nonprofit club, called Take the First Step Club, who are here in this room supporting me. And we do help the community in terms of making them aware of the importance of fitness for our youth. It's key. I don't care if we have our kids in private school, charter school, a magnet school, a religious school, and by the way, I taught in all those schools. I care that we care enough to develop their full potential so they can become productive and ethically based human beings. So when we grow up, as we're getting aged up, not me of course, but some of us, we can really have them beside us and know that we're having a better path as far as our future goes. I'm promising to keep this short. I have a 5-page speech, so I'm now eliminating a page. I was told that this morning by Mary Fittick. Thank you, Mary. At any rate, why is background so important? And I'm not going to throw around all the statistics, but truly, education is the largest budget in our state budget. I mean, we have $2.9 billion in Hillsborough County. That's a lot of money. I'm a business owner. I have to know the books. I have to know the assets, the debits, the line items. So I am trained in budgets because it's my own business. And it's flawed if we have someone that is into this system of schools if they don't understand the importance of staying with the budget expenditures, how it's allocated, and those type of concerns. So what I'm saying is it's nice that I'm a teacher and educator for most of my life. It's really important that I'm also a businesswoman. And I'm concerned. I'm very concerned when I read things about them not knowing what the budget is or how to read a budget. So as I drift through a few of these things, we have 26,000 employees. This is a huge amount for us to be in charge of. We have 2.6 thousand public school / charter school, separated by 250,000 charter school students now. So really 2.6 thousand public school, 250,000 charter schools. We have 56 funded charter schools right now, and 41, I believe, that are operating. So we're looking at an increase greatly of more schools. So this, in a nutshell, means we need to have an educator who knows the emotional, the physical, and the educational development of a child. And I'm saying this because if we're going to develop policies that affect them in their longevity, then I think we need to know the pulse on what these kids are like. And as far as socioeconomic, I taught everywhere from Middleton, some of you I talked to, I think it was Rhonda, and a few of you, all the way to Jesuit, kids with perfect scores. And I also taught at religious. So I'm very familiar with all the parental conversations that I have enjoyed for many years. And I say that luckily in truth. I look at education through 3 different eyes, and actually 4 if I want to be exact, although it's going to, if you look at it visually, it won't make me look too good. But as a parent, and I am a parent, my son is here tonight with his granddaughter and wife, and Thomas knows, we have special need concerns, but I wanted my child, as you all do, and your grandkids, to know what excellence is, to feel excellence, and to find an area to pursue that you can be excellent in. That is so key. And anything I say tonight comes from my life experiences as an educator, and I take it really seriously because I know this to be true. From a teacher's point of view, I know that if you're walking in my classroom for the first day of school, that if you're not at reading grade level, and if you don't have classroom management, we're going to have some real, not problems, but challenges. And I am saying right now, reading is so key. It's the greatest equalizer. They can take away everything from us, but what's in here, especially reading, is so critical. And I think that as I maybe relay a few other things that I want to do later, you'll understand why I'm saying that. Behavior management, classroom management, we have long lost the etiquette that Rhonda and I were talking about, where kids, politely put the pens in the pencils and keep their notebook and raise their hand. Things that should be done on a known basis. At Jesuit, they would open the door for me. These are things we need to teach again. I think we need to revisit behavior management, and I'm putting that in a very nice diplomatic way. But at any rate, that's through the eyes of a teacher. I know that they must read on grade level to be successful, and they must behave in their classroom environment. From a business point of view, as a businesswoman, I want these children, or these children that will grow up, my employees, to be enthusiastic. I want them to be collaborative. I want them to have goals, and I want them to be well educated and actually help me extend my own breadth of information. So that's as a business owner. And lastly, as a children's advocate, a person who has put on countless races to support programs such as MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions. I want to see increased mentoring programs, not in 5 or 10 schools, in every school. Those business models as Big Brothers, Big Sisters, thank you Stephen Cook for being here, those are tried and true. I think we're 111 years old. Is that how long Big Brothers and Big Sisters? Those are mentoring programs that show and care and put a child in need in a better, much better level so they can become productive human beings and have a moral compass besides, which is so important. I'm going to go ahead and just say what I feel. Hi, Brooke, that's my granddaughter. Some things that I know we should have in our schools, and I'll be brief. Number one, we have to have the kids go to school feeling safe. They must have that perception of safety. And now, as we know, and we recognize, sadly, that this is a reality. And we have to have conversations with our kids about how they can become safe, why it's important. We can't ignore the safe school resource officers and those type of people to help them be safe and feel safe. There's nothing better than have a guidance counselor's door open when a child comes to school, is hungry, has a fight, hasn't slept, and know that they can come in and talk to someone who cares. A safe school and people that are very cognizant that they're there for these kids that may not want to talk about it, but they know they can at least sit down and rest and take care of their frantic, their nerves. Every school should be organized and have a routine, and we get that. I know Bill Persons and I, we taught, and we've been in school for so many years, we have educators. I know all about that. It's very important, but I also know that our population has changed. So we need to have that routine, but we also need to embrace diversity. And in diversity talk, we need to go ahead and recognize and help our children understand that there's certain key elements of different populations that they need to embrace, recognize, and basically understand why a subject such as cultural geography is being taught, those are things that we have to face now because our schools are no longer, homogeneous by any means. Another thing I think we need to do is with our reading, at pre-K, I know we have reading instruction, but I don't ever see, and I have stacks of information, an emphasis on reading. Pre-K is a place where kids can learn so much, not only skills of sight reading, but behavior, physical fitness, kinesthetic, how they can fit in with another human being, how they can play. It's where so much learning occurs. And I think if we start thinking pre-K a little bit more than reading, writing, and arithmetic and pay more attention to the actual basic reading and classroom management, we're going to be way ahead. They say the new first grade, the new kindergarten is the first and second grade. So right now, with all the emphasis on accelerating in so many different areas, those kids need to have preparation beforehand. I think also we have not embraced or faced the increased barriers, but we're looking at increased amount of disruptional families, one-parent families. Children are not sleeping necessarily. They're coming to school hungry. 85% of the kids rely on lunch in our schools for free lunch. We're looking at a multitude of barriers. And what are we doing? Well, in all fairness, and I met with some of the district level folks, we seem to be embracing it to a degree. But what really frustrates me, it's only in a few schools. It's not school-wide. And I think, and I know, that unless we start saying that this is our model for a successful child to have, we're just putting out fires in different areas. So I want to start looking at barriers as being real and programs to absolutely address those. Also, relationship building. That is so key. Real world includes knowing how to get along. It includes conversation. It includes, of course, using the computer. But how many of us are frustrated in seeing our youth rely on a phone to text, and how infrequently do they call up and talk to us? And how many times have we seen a handwritten thank you letter? I think I mentioned that also to Mary. It's so important that we are involved again in communication. And I want to get back to that because that's never going to go away. I also think that cultural diversity, and I mentioned this a few times, is good to throw around. Oh yes, we are all involved with the demographics of our school. Well, that's not really true. Every school should have a principal that's aware, and I know Jessica Hessler, she's a principal at Cornelius Sassa. They should be aware of the various groups in their school before school begins, and they should know the needs of those groups. I don't have to tell you about Waimama, because some of you know it's migrant. Some of you know that at large means I'm way out there, I'm in Platte City, I'm in South Tampa. But I can tell you, I taught at East Bay High School, and migrants themselves, these children, they have real needs, and those also need to be addressed in terms of getting them the proper reading skills and routine that they so much need, and also a familiar face and counseling in many times. A lot of them have one parent, some of them have none. But in some, we're just saying every principal should know and be comfortable with, oh, I have a different type of demographic this year, so this is what I need to do after school. I have so many of these folks that love computers. Let me offer another class of computer coding. We need to have that flexibility in each of the schools. And in so saying that, I'm reminded of USF, the continuing education model. And I took classes there, but I'd like to have our children have that variety of technical, vocational, music, arts. I want them to have that. Yes, I'd love to have it in the school system. But right now, we're stripped down to a testing model where all the renaissance parts of the brain seem to be out and testing is in. So we need to at least give these kids, such as Lomax, an after-school program that gives them back the richness of art, such as you see in this room. And I know Rich and I, many of you traveled all over the world. So important. A cultural education. Also, how are we doing in increasing technical and vocational education? We're giving credence to charter schools, that is true. But why not have a carpentry class? Brian Mann is a beautiful carpenter. We have so much talent in our Tampa Bay community. Why not have an extra music class? Why not have a class on how to use a computer? For people like me. No, but some of us really do need a little bit of help in that. But why not have a little bit more reading education for these English learners who don't yet know the English language? So each school will have to have, in my view, a continuing education program to address that which they're not getting in the normal curriculum. And lastly, it's usually never a last with me, but I promise this will be last. It's like running the last mile. When people say in a marathon, 1 more mile to go, or you're almost there. Well, I know better, and so does Richard. That's not true. I'd like to see the pathways to vocational and college prep to be much more adequate. I think the conversations need to begin in 7th and 8th grade about where they're going. These kids need to feel part of what and why they're in school. And the most tenuous time for an educator to watch kids lose interest in their very education, and that's the age, middle school, if you will, that we seem to lose them. We need the occupational therapists, call them what you will. Let's give them that pathway. This is what you can do while you're in school. This is what will happen when you get out of school. And that's the same type of conversation we have for the college bound. We shouldn't wait for 11th grade, my goodness. Oh, your test is coming up. You're going to do or die. We need to have that way before. I'm reminded of Project Upward Bound. Some of you may not know that, but Richard Pride began it, USF. It helped folks like me, who came from a family of 6, afford to go to college. But it prepared me, it gave me that bridge to know that I'm going to go to college, because I didn't think my parents could ever afford it. And that particular program is no longer there, but certainly we're going to put more of those opportunities. There has to be a pathway. We need the connection. And lastly, I already said that, physical fitness. That's not last. Physical fitness. You know, study after study shows increased focus, decreased anxiety, decreased nervousness while in class, increased focus while studying, increased flow of, I get Bill Dalton on this one, but the oxygen to the brain makes us feel a little bit more alert. There's so much I have on that. But what we're saying is, I know recess is not the great resolve of us all, but we need to go ahead and, I believe, put a health fitness in our curriculum. Kids need to know about obesity, what they're eating, what it does to them, and know the benefits of a physical fit life, what it feels like. And to this end, I did do the running program, but I am going to put nutrition in the running clubs with Steve Benoit, probably about 2 more months. So these are just a few things, just a few to this list, that I will actually do what I say I'm going to do. Those of you who know me know I never say anything unless I intend to carry it out. So with all my will, and with all of your good hearts and your strong minds, I hope come August 30th, you will give me your votes, you'll give me your support, and I am feeling so blessed to have each and every one of you pay attention to this little lesson. And I actually would like to have Richard say a few words before I stop. Richard, I know you're a busy man. I did declare you an educator, by the way. And Richard is a runner. We've done so many races. So Richard, would you say a few words?
I apologize for being late. It's been a long day and every day, but I'm having fun every day. But I'm here today because I've known Lynn for many, many years. Don't we want somebody that really cares about our children's education? Somebody that's been committed for 26 years?
Yep.
Elementary, middle school, high school, both in the public sector and at Jesuit High School and at home school. She's committed. She's determined. What she says she's going to do, she's going to do. She's running this year her 100th marathon. 26.2 miles, 2,620 miles. She's been running competitively for 30 plus years. She's a writer. She writes for Runner's Magazine. And I'm a runner, but I read that, gosh, I know her. Believe me, to run a marathon takes dedication, commitment, overcoming those obstacles that others would just not even attempt. And I know her opponent hasn't done what she's done. They have some connections here and there. But I'm here today to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, she will make our school systems better. We need to have the arts back in the school. We need to have these carpentry classes. Everything she's saying. What's wrong with our youth today? Our school system's failing them. It takes somebody with the courage and the commitment. She's been married 32 years. That's an accomplishment today. 52 years.
You're 32 years.
Well, 32. I think you've been here 51 years. But that's what I look at when I talk to her, and I appreciate you all being here today. But it's not just about being here today, but it's spreading the word, sharing. It takes each vote counts. When people say they're not going to go vote because, well, that's a freedom and the right to do so. And we shouldn't speak otherwise and complain about our school systems. Your vote counts, and your friends' votes counts, and we have to elect Lynn Gray. Thank you.
Richard's starting his culinary school shortly, among everything else. The next piece of the informational show is an astounding educator in herself, within herself. Carolyn Brickemeyer has served on the school board before. She has had a stellar record, a big effect on what I think is mentoring for kids. She is a big part of, I believe it's frameworks. And I'm going to have Carolyn just say a few things. And believe me, she's going to talk as long as I do. So we're good.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. I served on the school board from 1994 to 2006. And I have to say, we were a good, nice group when we were serving then. And one of the reasons I'm so supportive of Lynn, my whole campaign, and I used to get ripped up about this actually, my whole campaign was based on children first. If you're on a board that has over 200,000 children that you're responsible for, it seems to me they ought to be put first. And every single decision for those 12 years, when they came, whatever, and I mean reams of paper back then, now they have these computers, and I like to flip pages, I'm sorry. Read a lot, needed to know an awful lot, and Lynn brings so much experience. Having been in the classroom, I was not in the classroom. I visited a lot of classrooms, I saw behavior when it was out of control, and there's a lot that can be improved there. But the main reason that I would definitely support support Lynn is because she's not coming in with her own agenda. And right now, I don't know if you're watching the school board, and this is probably very unprofessional of me. We need some civility. What needs to happen has to be role modeled from the top. If that behavior isn't seen by all 26,000 employees, they think anything goes. It's so important. And the board members have two major responsibilities. One is to set policy, which you can have a huge influence over, especially if you come in without an agenda and try to get some consensus, which is going to be a bit of a challenge, but it can be done. And the other is to hire the superintendent and then work with them on trying to build your lengthy program. And I wish you luck. But the fact that she has so much perseverance, I would never run a marathon, so I'm already impressed. I did walk a half marathon, so I thought that was quite an accomplishment. But my main reason is everything I hear Lynn say is she's in it for the kids. And to me, that is the most important stand you can take. And I wish her all the luck in the world, and I hope all of you will help support. This is a huge county. It's 11,000 square miles, and it's the hardest campaign to run. And I kept pointing out to legislators, Mary's here, they don't have to get as many votes as somebody running countywide to go to Tallahassee. And yet the school board is the closest elected official that you have to the parents, the community, the businesses, all the nonprofits. They are your first line of elected officials. So think about this very carefully and help her win. Thank you.
Thank Carolyn so much. Inspired my thinking greatly, by the way. I think right now, Don Evans, he's not going to give himself much credit, but he has been my campaign manager, consultant, and without Don, I would not be standing in front of here with all this bravado. So I'm going to introduce Don Evans at this time, and his lovely wife, Babs. By the way, we've already trained Don to shorten up, which would seem to be a long statement, but here it is. It's practiced.
It's a little bit scary to think that someone that just spoke for 25 minutes has trained me to speak. But I will try to keep it short. Fortunately, some of the people like Richard have said some of the things that I was going to talk about, and so I won't repeat those. But I'm standing up here primarily as one of the volunteers in this campaign. And there's a lot of volunteers that are here in this room tonight. And so on behalf of all the volunteers, we want to thank you for being here. And we want to thank Richard especially for putting on this wonderful event. Very, very grateful. It's really done a whole lot for our campaign. Let me draw an analogy for you. Let's say that you have an automobile. Well, let's say you have to be in California for some event. And the only way you can get there is to drive your car. Okay? And your car is all beat up. It's in bad shape. It needs a lot of mechanical work. But it's very important for you to get out to California. And you have a choice of 3 mechanics to fix that car up to get you to California. The first mechanic has never been trained in mechanics and has 0 experience in mechanics, but has worked for 30 years as an air traffic control. The second mechanic has never been educated or trained in mechanics, has no experience in mechanics, but has been a career military person. Okay? Third person has 26 years of experience in mechanics, has been trained as a mechanic, has been educated as a mechanic, has been recognized as one of the best mechanics in the community. Who is that? That's Lynn Gray. Lynn Gray, you know, if somebody had to make a choice between those mechanics, is there any choice? There's no choice. Lynn Gray is without any doubt the choice. She's the one that's not just qualified to serve, she's highly qualified to serve. She's one of the most qualified persons to serve that has offered themselves as public service in a long time. So we're very fortunate to have her. Now, if all of the voters that go into that booth, you know, do the absentees and vote early and vote on August the 30th, knew what we here in this room know right now, you know, we could be celebrating right now. But unfortunately, they don't. Y'all may not realize it, but there's 1.3 million people in Hillsborough County. Approximately 1 million of those are old enough to be registered to vote. Approximately half of those people are registered to vote. If we have a 20% turnout of those people registered to vote, we're talking about 100,000 people. And that's a lot of people to reach and to sell this story about our wonderful candidate and friend. So, there's ways you can do that. Television, billboards, all of that. But let me tell you, friends, that is extremely expensive. And school board races just do not generate and do not motivate people to make real large contributions. And so there's not going to be any television in her campaign. There's not going to be any billboards in her campaign. We're going to have yard signs. We have a few little kind of gimmicky sort of things that we think is going to help a lot. One thing is, you know, Lynn's of course a runner, and she is offered herself, she's running for this position, which is from one end of the county to the other. It's a countywide position. So she's going to walk and run the length of our county. On July the 23rd, at 6 o'clock in the morning, she and a group will leave Ruskin Elementary School and start heading north of US 41. It'll take her approximately 12 hours to get to the county line in New Tampa. Every 3 miles or so, she'll be stopping, and the people that are walking with her will drop out, and some new people will be dropping in and joining her. And then we're going to have a celebration of sorts at the end. Now, we hope to get suppressed from this, okay? We picked July the 23rd because the absentee ballots come out just several days after that. So we're trying to time that in such a way that if we get suppressed, we get some writing about that, that'll coincide with that, and that will alert some people and tell them some things about our wonderful candidate. Lynn and I are having breakfast day after tomorrow with Sue Carlton, Tampa Bay Times. If Sue elects to write a column about Lynn, that will be big. That will really be impressive because she's very popular. That column is read very quickly. We are hoping that the biggest endorsement, the biggest thing in the campaign is going to be what the Tampa Bay Times does in the editorial endorsement. Lynn is clearly the most qualified. If the editorial board maintains its integrity and endorses the person best qualified, Lynn's going to be endorsed. And that's going to be huge because most people who vote, they know who to vote for president. There's no question in their mind who they're going to vote for president. But when you get all the way down to the ticket, down to the school board, a lot of times they don't know. But if they know that Tampa Bay Times has vetted the candidates and is recommending this particular one, that goes a long way. So we got our fingers and toes all crossed on that regard. I can tell you some of the other things we're doing. Some of the things that you can do after tonight is we have some yard signs here. I saw them somewhere. You can get the yard signs. Even if you, there you go. And even if you don't, even if they're all taken, we can get you another one. We got plenty of yard signs. We're going to try to put a lot of yard signs out. Oh, I know one more thing. We're developing a card. It's not going to be one of those giant cards that you get in the mail, but it's not going to be a postcard size either. It's kind of in between. We're going to print 5,000 of these cards. We're going to find 100 people who will agree to send out 50 of these cards to their friends. That's 50 times 100, 5,000. Now, that can go a long ways. When a person receives something in the mail that's personally written, asking them to vote for Lynn Gray, and it has some of her credentials there on the card, that can be very helpful. Talk her up. I want to tell you something. She's, you know, sometimes you talk up automobiles and other products. This is the best product on the market, friends. She is easy to talk about because she is so qualified. So that's easy to do. I bring, you know, if I'm standing in line at McDonald's, sometimes I talk to somebody about Lynn Gray because I know they want to chance their night vote. She's easy, like I've said, she's real easy to sell. Some of y'all have already contributed to this campaign. Some of you have contributed tonight. Some of y'all will be contributing on the way out. Let me if I can, say this to you. I think you all understand how important it is to get the word to the voters of Hillsborough County, how well credentialed she is, and qualified she is, and how much she should be on the board. And I think from what y'all heard from her tonight, that you will see, you know that. So the help that you have given us, we very much appreciate, but we also would very much appreciate any more help. You've already sent us a check. Think real deep. See if you can send us another check. we truly need it. We need it to be able to get that message out for this wonderful person doing great. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm not really sure what I should say afterwards, but I'm definitely so very, very pleased and proud to have each of you spend this evening with me. I will be, revolving around to introduce myself in case I haven't done so already. Karen, is there anything else that I should be saying at this point?
Remind you of the silent auction, the buffet, and
Help yourself, of course, to food.
August 30th is the vote.
August 30th is the vote, and if I'm not mistaken, about, Mary?
What about the relay?
The relay, we have, real briefly, I know I'm seeing the hat move here. We're going to start from Ruskin Elementary at 5 o'clock, not 6. And I'm going to I'm going to go ahead, and this is the 23rd of July, and it's going to be on Saturday. Every 3 miles, we have a shop and go. I just put them there coincidentally. But at any rate, we have a store that will give, cool air and refreshments, and then another team's going to take over. So we have about 13 teams, and actually it is 13 teams, and we're going to gradually make our way to Flatwoods, for all practical purposes, about a mile north of Flatwoods on Bruce B. Downs.
20 minutes a mile.
This is about 20 minutes a mile, so no pressure. So I have people say, I don't want to, but it is a little bit toasty, so we do know that we're not going to put that kind of pressure. But we are intending to really get this out to the media. I can't thank Mary Estes enough and Angie Alexandro. You will know about it. It is going to be everywhere on social media, but we want you to be involved. And if we do lead by example, and we're walking physical movement, and I'm promoting physical fitness, there's nothing stronger than that message. And it is back to school, taking the first and great steps to a great year. So we're going to go ahead. I do think we have some Angie, do we have some handouts? If you would, you might not be interested right now after a glass of wine or so, but maybe the next morning, read over it, see if we can't get you initiated. And I have shirts that I'm going to have for each of you and those kinds of things. We're going to pass a diploma, and the diploma is going to be a high school graduation certificate or some type of certificate. Karen?
You might want to ask if people have any questions.
Yes. You might have some questions at this time to ask me, and I'll hide all my sheets here so I won't say any more speeches. Any questions you might have? Yes.
Would you consider jumping right to presidential?
Jerry, I am an addict on the political field right now, but not yet. Not yet. Tempting thought. Sandy?
You mentioned the dollars of the budget that goes with county has for schools. It seems like everybody thinks that if you throw money at something, it can only get better, which obviously is not the case. So what are your thoughts about, I believe that everything starts at home. And whether or not it's a parent or teacher or family member, what are your thoughts on motivating parents to get involved with their child's education?
Well, one of the biggest contributors of a successful child in school is their parent or significant other. And without that type of support, we have to then mitigate it with other support systems at school. Unfortunately and sadly, many of you realize that we are a plethora of non-existent parental guidance at home, and that hits all socioeconomic levels. So what do I think about it? Again, when we were going to school, remember we had to do our homework before we went to play, and all these rules were intact. So what we have to realize, and what we do give lip service to, it's not happening. It's not happening on a regular basis. And I taught at too many schools to tell you that it is happening maybe at Jesuit and not at, my religious school. Parents are working, they're busy. We've got to address it at school, in school as well. Again, what Carolyn said earlier, we're in it for the kids. Whatever vehicles we need to help that child succeed, we need to prepare it at school as well. And I'm sorry to report, Sandy, the state of affairs at this time, as we have done the demographics, are not showing a whole heck of a lot of parental responsibility. And I don't want to, go into phone calls and those kinds of reports, but we will help the differential in school. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? Enough for tonight? You have your lesson. Please enjoy the food. I don't know whether you met my my granddaughter, my son, and his wife. My son Thomas. There he is. He's a product of many schools, public, private, and and homeschool. I've actually had a homeschool. We've got home from school. A little Brooklyn. Where's baby Brooklyn? She's outside. She's outside. Okay. But at any rate, thank you again for everything, for being here, and every one of you count. Enjoy your dinner and stay, and I'll be here in case you have any other questions. Okie doke.